You want to improve your playing fast and you don't want to waste any more time. So I've taken the best exercises for guitar and ranked them top 5. Now I'm going to give specific instructions for beginners to get started, as well as some variations for more advanced players. Let's see how many of these that you know, and if I've left any of your favorites out, please let me know in the comments. Let's jump right in. Number 5 is the 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise, also known as the spider exercise. Now this is a great exercise to get started for beginners because it's so easy to remember. You're just playing the top 4 frets of each string using fingers 1, 2, 3, 4. Now when you get to the top, you simply just reverse it and go backwards 4, 3, 2, 1, descending through all the strings. Some things that you want to concentrate on is making sure that you have good placement of the fingers all the way up to the frets. Right behind the frets, as close to the frets as possible. Now I had a really great teacher that showed me these variations that are really great for more advanced players. And this is where you do hammer-ons through each string, and you can repeat each finger multiple times. And then the opposite of that would be the pull-offs. So you would go 1, 0, 1, 0. And then finally, same thing with trills. A trill is where you do a hammer-on and pull-off. One thing about it, it's not very musical. You're not really training your ears or anything else because it's not a scale. So that brings us into number 4, scales. Now most teachers and formal schools are going to teach the 5-box method. But after teaching for over a decade and learning that method personally, I don't agree with that method. And I recommend a scales over chord approach. It's similar, but in this way, we're gonna play the chord first and then play the scale descending, always descending. And then of course you would do that in any positions. And here's the C in the 3rd position. It helps you understand how the chord and scales function together. Here's another example with A minor, and then playing the A minor pentatonic scale, descending. In order to connect the scales up and down, I recommend using the diagonal method. That's going to be where you connect octaves in a diagonal fashion up and down the neck. Let me demonstrate over an E chord. So you have E major played down here, and now I'm going to descend. That's our first octave. Now we're going to shift positions. That's our second octave, and now we're going to shift again. That gives you 3 octaves to play around with. For more advanced players, you shouldn't just be playing scales up and down. You should be using sequences or intervals. So there, we played 3 notes down, and then went back up to the 2nd note from the top, and then played 3 notes from there. And then same thing. Intervals is where you're going to play skipping around notes, so not every single note straight down or straight up. Interval would be like this. Or ascending. Starting out to learn scales for the first time can be a huge task, and it can be very overwhelming. It's really difficult to actually use this to learn the notes, and so to learn that brings us into number 3, triads and arpeggios. What we're going to focus on is 3 adjacent strings playing triads like this. The exercise for beginners is just like this. Say it and play it. We want to learn where those chords are up the neck. Just say it and play it. So copy me. We have a D chord in the open position. D. D chord in the 5th position. D. D chord in the 10th position. D. Back to the 5th position. And you want to be saying this out loud. D. Do the same thing with the A triad on the different string set, on string set 2, 3, and 4. A, 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 other major chord is going to use those same shapes. So for example, here's our D chord, but if we wanted to change that to play an E chord, use those same three shapes, but we start up a whole step. So now here's E, here's E in this position, in the 7th position, and here's E in the 12th position. It's the same three shapes that we just learned. Of course, you're gonna wanna do that with minor chords too. Let me show you those real quick. D minor, D minor, D minor, D minor, A minor, A minor, A minor, A minor. For advanced players, you're gonna wanna work on these as arpeggios. Work on your instant recall of these shapes in any position for any chord. And the best way to do that is to just fire up a backing track so you can practice playing the different triads in each position while the chord is being played at that time. It's best if you can do a mix of major and minor chords. A minor, D minor, E, D minor. 2, 3, 4. Harmony exercises are just exercises to learn what the scale sounds like when you harmonize it. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. E major looks like this. Major, minor, minor third, major third, major third, minor third, another minor third for diminished, and now we're up at the top, back to major again. Using that same pattern, now we can plug in a right hand arpeggio up and down. It sounds like this. Now for more advanced players, you're gonna wanna learn harmony exercises using 7th chords. F major using our, what I like to call jazz grips, but they're 7th chords. So we have F major 7, minor 7, minor 7, major 7, dominant 7, minor 7, minor 7 flat 5, and then back to major 7. Now that's ascending up the same string set, but it's also valuable if you go across the strings as well. The number one exercise that anybody should be doing, and it is rhythm exercises. Rhythm and timing is so important for playing guitar. It is almost all of music. Music is not just the notes that you play, it's how long you play them, how do you play them, and when do you play them. If you don't play the notes in the right timing, then all of a sudden it just becomes notes and not music. And for most players, especially beginners, rhythm training seems to be something that's completely skipped. And it should be the number one exercise that everybody is doing, beginner or advanced. If you've been playing a while and you feel like your rhythm's not great, you need to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, are you actually practicing with a metronome? Have you ever practiced with a metronome? Because if you haven't, chances of your rhythm being good are very, very slim. So for beginners, what you got to do is just start counting with the metronome. Any type of formal school training will have you counting and clapping so much that your hands hurt. Beginners should start like this. Download a metronome for your phone. This is the one that I use. It's called Pro Metronome. This isn't sponsored. This is just the app that I've been using for well over 10 years. And it's free. You can hear that when it's clicking through, one of the clicks sounds different. That's called the downbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where we start counting. 2, 3, 4. For beginners, literally just need to start counting with this metronome. 2, 3, 4. Out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4. It sounds silly, and I know that most people aren't going to do this, but this is one of those things that separates people from sounding like they're just playing notes to actually playing music. Don't feel bad if you have trouble counting along with this at first. It will get easier. This is something that anybody can do, but it does take practice for almost everybody. Now, once you can start counting with the basic 1, 2, 3, 4, we need to start adding subdivisions, and they're counted like this. 8th notes will be counted in between each of these beats with the word and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Triplets will be counted with 3 notes, 3 subdivisions in between each click. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Some people will teach that as triplet, 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 triplet. I like the 1 and because it still establishes where you are in the measure, which will be important in the future. Now we have swing rhythm that will be counted like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Notice the and has been displaced closer to the next beat. A straight rhythm has the and right in the middle, like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Swing displaces the ands a little bit further. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The only one left is 16th notes, and that's where we have to squeeze in 4 syllables per click. And we do that like this. 3E and a, 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. Now that's just for beginners. If you've been playing for a while, the best exercise for advanced players is playing and practicing with the metronome clicking on beats 2 and 4. And that sounds like this. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's speed this up just a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then try to play like a blues progression. Using those beats. This is the best exercise for swing time. And it might sound silly for a lot of you, but that is way harder than it seems, especially getting initially into that count of 2 and 4. This is how you do it. 2, 3, 4, 1. So you hear it clicking. When almost everybody starts, your instinct is to start with counting on 1. So you'll go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we initially will think of this rhythm, okay? And then trying to flip that to 2s and 4s is a lot harder than it seems. And this is the strategy that I think is best. So once you hear the click, try to clear your mind and say 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So try to start on 4, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Another strategy for getting into it is like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you kind of will hear the clicks in between the clicks. So right after the click, you'll say 1, click. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on.